Diamondvale, Shattered Memories. By Eric Hua. Chapter 17, The Professor. 2 years ago. Inside the school of Diamondvale, a class of students were waiting in the training grounds room for their teacher to arrive. They were all excited about the self-defense class that appeared only once on their weekly schedule. It was going to be taught by their new teacher, Professor Rice. While most of them were able to contain their enthusiasm, there were a few who had other ideas. Devon saw a large spike ball in the middle of the gym and picked it up. He yelled to everyone, letting them know what he found. Sahil yelled at Devon to stop hogging the ball, but Salman jumped in and stole it. He was the tallest in the class and he held the ball up high, thinking no one could get it. Out of nowhere, Liam appeared and tackled Salman. He had him pinned to the ground and he yelled for the others to grab the ball from him. As a small dogpile was developing, Netanya advised the group that they should stop what they were doing as their professor could arrive at any time. Civic, who was part of the commotion, told No Fun Netanya to stop ruining their game. Mila saw what happened and couldn't stand for it. She was ready to give the boys a beating of a lifetime, and Arya was there to join her. They had their fists ready, but Arnav and Dante jumped in, hoping to calm them down. Their words weren't very effective, so they asked for Harshitha to help them, but she was ignoring everyone and reading her book. So Arya and Mila pushed the two boys aside and went straight at the 5 hooligans. With Liam, Salman, Civic, Sahil and Devon already in a pile fighting for the ball, Mila and Arya jumped in as well. They were locked in a huge mess and there was so much chaos the ball rolled out into the open. Ajay saw the spike ball all by itself and he heard it calling to him. He kicked it so hard it first went in Leo's direction, but just barely missed him. It continued on and then hit Dylan square in the face. Max knew what was about to happen. He rushed over in hopes of preventing the waterworks, but it was too late. Dylan's eyes immediately had tears gushing out, and with his mouth wide open, he let out a wail that could be heard through the room. Jacob's ears were hurting and he yelled for him to stop. Amrita rushed in to see what was happening with Dylan. Suddenly Dylan stopped his wailing. Everyone was relieved, but they wouldn't be relaxed for long. They all shifted their attention to the entrance of the training room, where their teacher was standing with his arms crossed. Right away, Cece knew that the class was doomed. The professor called for everyone to line up against the wall and they immediately obeyed. They watched as he held the spike ball in one hand. He told them that class was now in session. Their first challenge was to not get hit by an object for 1 whole minute. They were free to run anywhere in the room. If they passed, nothing will happen. But he never said what would happen if they failed. The entire class was confused. They thought they would be handed a tougher punishment, but the task the professor threw out didn't seem too hard. He asked if they were ready, and when they all confirmed, he threw the ball in the opposite direction, which had everyone in the room perplexed. The object was going nowhere near them, but they were so focused on the spike ball that the professor pulled out a bunch of random objects he had hidden. He began throwing at them and he tagged every single one of them before the time limit expired. Ashima yelled that their professor cheated. However, he told them that the first rule of self-defense is that there were no rules. Devon tried to explain that the professor was being too harsh, but Rice disappeared and reappeared behind him. Everyone else in the class was paralyzed in fear, as he did that without anyone seeing him move a muscle. He told the class that an enemy they face outside won't play by any rules. As he said that, he moved his hands towards Devon's direction. Everyone thought Devon was about to get punched in the face. Devon shut his eyes, but Rice had him fooled, as all he did was flick Devon in between the eyes. Before he exited the gym, he told the class to do 50 laps around this room and 100 push-ups before they could leave. There was a huge wave of complaints as he left the room. He was about to head out, but meeting him outside the room was the headmaster. Vollis greeted his old friend, but Rice knew that the headmaster wanted something from him. Vollis told Rice that he was doing research on the geode stones and he was about to reach a breakthrough. He asked Rice if he could have a few volunteers from his class who could assist him with the experiments. Although most teachers permitted this, Rice objected to the headmaster's idea. Wallace asked him to reconsider, but Rice told him to find other participants. He turned his back on Wallace and walked away. The headmaster was enraged by the professor's decision. He tried to get what he wanted the diplomatic way, but now he had to resort to other tactics. 1 week later. The professor was making his way to the self-defense class, and he was going to be behind schedule again. He opened the entrance door, expecting chaos, but when the door opened, it was silent. He thought a miracle had occurred, but then he looked at the class carefully. A few of them were missing. Dylan, Leo, Sarman, Vihan, and Civic have been missing for a week and no one knew where they were. When asked, Rice didn't respond. Willingham explained that they tried asking others if they had seen them, but nobody even seemed to remember who they were. After hearing what Willingham had to say, the professor told them that today's class would be cancelled. He left the room, leaving the students all by themselves. Sensing Rice was hiding something from them, Myla suggested that they all follow him. Her suggestion was met with mixed feelings. About half the class thought it would be a great course of action. The other half elected to return to their dorms. The ones that stayed in the room with Myla were Arya, Dante, Liam, Devon, Jacob, Sahil, Amrita, and Cece. This was the group that planned to follow Rice. The only problem was that no one had any idea where he went. Thankfully, Dante pulled out a device that showed a grid on a screen with a dot flashing. It was a tracking device, and Dante had managed to put a tracking chip on Rice before he left the room. Although everyone was happy he had the solution to their problem, they were skeptical as to how he had a tracking device. He told them that they should all have one since their technology teacher told them how to make it. They all looked at him with blank stares, and that was when Dante realized no one except for him paid attention to the professor in that class. But it was a good thing Dante listened, otherwise, they would not have been able to locate where Professor Rice had run off to. So they all allowed Dante to lead the way,